Welcome to One with the Other Way, a podcast about your journey and finances. I'm your host, James. We have Wanda with us today, and we're going to talk about the noise. There's a lot going on right now, Wanda.
Oh my gosh, noise and media and oh Lord have mercy, fear
Market
and what's going to happen
volatility.
next. I want to go back, way back to the 19th century, back to Mother Goose. For every ailment under the sun, there is a remedy or there is none. If there be one, try to find it. If there be none, never mind it. I think we could take that away from today.
Well, since there's a lot going on, there's a lot of noise, a lot of market volatility. The market is kind of freaking out right now. How do we respond to this? What do we do about this noise?
Right. And I think Mother Goose has some relevance today. So life is going to happen always. Time moves on, time marches on. It stops for none of us. I think one of the important things is this idea of detachment. And I know in my yoga classes, I talk about detaching, exhaling, letting time pass.
I guess that seems very easy, but also kind of hard in the moment.
Right.
How do we work on this detachment?
Right. So this is that point of what I say is to exhale. And I think that there's a Catholic doctrine about and it says this and that can be true. You'll notice time can be slow and it can be fast. In this time when there's fear, right, we notice that it's a lot slower, it appears. But time also is fast because it seemed like just yesterday when we were living in the COVID times, right? And so you want to step away from it, right? And take a look at what's going on. So Oxford defines it as this idea of separation, of being objective and avoiding emotional involvement. So stepping away and taking a look at it as if you're an outsider. Okay, what is going on? There's some things going on in the market. Yet what do you have control over, right? By stepping away and looking at it from a detached process, you can potentially have some clear decision making. Exhaling will allow you to stop and see what's going on. And then it'll take a look at what action you can take in your life at this time.
You mentioned with the Oxford definition, the emotional involvement. And I feel like financial decisions have some of the most emotional involvement.
They seem to have a lot of emotion involved with it because it's your money and you work hard for it. Yet at the same time, money is just a tool. And so maybe some detachment. What's the money needed for? It's generally needed for your goals, your dreams, your ambitions, some of the things that you want in your lifetime. And so if you look, you're looking at the future in those things, right? And you don't want to get bogged down in the present. And so potentially sitting down, talking with a financial advisor and talking about the future and what it is that you want. And then objectively looking and saying, that's going to happen in 5 or 10 years. Or today I'm 60 years old and I'm going to live for another 30 years. So today does not make 30 years. 30 years is a long time. And so the things that are happening today do happen today. But those are not the things that happen forever. Even COVID passed after a few years,
passed.
right? Yeah.
We've talked about this before numerous times on different podcasts, but the art of the plan that you have with your financial advisor, how do you stick to the art of the plan amidst all of this?
Right. Stepping back into that detachment space. And then there's something that's called the Serenity Prayer that's been around since the 1930s. It was actually created by a theologian, but I think this is something that all of us can take to heart, right? This idea of grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. And that can give us a sense of peace, right? I cannot change what is going on, letting go of these things that are going on. The courage to change the things that I can, right? Taking action where you can, right? And that helps, like if you're thinking about it, I can take action. I can talk to my financial advisor. I can ask questions. What can I do to make sure that I'm working towards my goals? And the wisdom to know the difference. And the wisdom's the hard thing because that is like what is going on in your life. So, I've heard it said, right? Wisdom wasted on the youth. And as time has gone on, I recognize that in the market, every year it appears we have a 20% loss in the market. Every year we have it. Sometimes we have 30 or 40%. I mean, during COVID, we had it. During the 1987 financial crisis, we had it. During 2001, the internet bubble. And all of those things we lived through. The thing we can do is take a look at the art of our financial plan. How much time do you have? How much time are you going to be around? Probably more than a day or a year, maybe
Mm-hmm.
even 30, 40, 60 years for some of us. So take a look at the time very objectively and say, yeah, okay, there's some time here. The rate of return is something we don't have control over. Rate of return, the market will go up and it will go down. And when it goes down, we have the opportunity to buy more shares on sale. We love sales at the grocery store. So nothing wrong with the sale in the market as long as we're taking a look at it in the perspective of the time. And the thing we have the most control of is the amount that you can set aside. So what are you doing in terms of the amount, and
Mm-hmm.
how's that going to affect you in the long run? And that's when you have most control over. So going back to that serenity prayer, right? Accept the things that you cannot change. This is what's going on. There's a lot of noise going on out there. The courage to change the things you can. Okay, the amount that you're investing, right? And the wisdom to know the difference. Detach yourself from what's going on day to day, and then take a look at what you can do. And exhale. It's going to be great.
We've also talked about this in a previous podcast. An advisor can be a non-emotional person involved in your finances to help you
Right.
get to where you're trying to go.
Right.
And so, Wanda, if you mind speaking a little bit into the idea of having a non-emotional partner in this with you.
Right. So this idea of wisdom, your financial advisor is not going to have all the answers. So always be clear that your financial advisor doesn't know all the answers. Your financial advisor can help you become detached a little bit from that process, and that detachment will give you more joy at taking a look at your big picture. What is your life all about? And that's why I like to call. I think the Finances for Real Life name for our company is true. You're having a real life. Allow us to help you, give you some perspective on the day-to-day noise that's out there, and that is something we can help with. I do have the crystal ball, but I will not have all the answers. It's like I will consult the crystal ball as needed. However, I will not have all the answers. So it's important to talk about it, talk about your joys, what it is you want, and your fears. And maybe we can help you put your fears into some context in terms of the noise and what we hear day to day in the media and that kind of thing.
We've talked about this before, and we have it on our website, I think somewhere, a good life now and in the future.
Right.
And what does it mean to have a good life now in the future? How do you help define that for someone that's maybe just now starting to meet with a financial advisor, or better yet, someone that in the midst of this noise is trying to get close to retirement and they see this and there's a lot of emotion involved?
Good question. It's a great question. So you have to trust the process and you have to trust your financial advisor. Having that person who's not emotionally attached to your money is helpful to giving context again to your money, to your time, and to what's going on in your life. And what you want is a balance between what's going on here in the now, whether you're 20, 30, or 62, about to go into retirement. And how does that affect you in the future? So you don't want to save like all your money when you're younger. You want to save enough money to have the things you want in retirement. I don't want you to go to your grave saying, man, I had a great investment portfolio, because guess what? You cannot take it with you. So you want to have balance in spending the money and the resources, that you're making in here and now, as well as balance it out with the future, with just enough touch to looking at the future and today so that you can have the life that you want.
Now, in the midst of all of this noise right now, we have a lot of technological growth. We have AI, we have
Right.
all these different algorithms going on. These are all non-emotional decision-making tools. What does that kind of look like in the financial sphere, especially working with a financial advisor?
Right. So, it's interesting because AI is a great part of the world. I wonder what AI would say, like in terms of like having your best life. I wonder if you can Google that one or get a chat GPT answer on that one. so really, but AI relies on data and algorithms, right? It's going to overlook anything that is going on the personal side. It's going to set aside ethical considerations and that kind of thing. You are needed to make the best decisions for your life, because at the end, it is your life only. And so AI can maybe give you some answers, but it is going to be based on zeros and ones and not consider Contexts like friends, family, and experiences, right? The things that we want in life, the things that give us joy and that make us smile. I'm not entirely sure that AI can help you smile. Can it do that yet, or do we know?
Not that I'm aware of.
Right. But it's good to maybe take a look and for the data it might give you and algorithms and help with the decision-making process. But I would argue that a financial advisor can look at data and can also look at both the emotional and the ethical considerations in your life so that you can have the best possible outcome for you.
And I kind of want to wrap up on this idea of action. So going from exhale to action, how does someone in the midst of all this make the decision to, hey, it's time to meet with a financial advisor for the first time, or it's time to just brace and hold on and let it go? How does one take that action?
Right. I think the Nike ad has it best. Just do it. Jump in there 2 feet and find a financial advisor, find someone that you trust. So find someone who's in the business. I think someone who does it for a living is optimal. And maybe, your friends, maybe they have a financial advisor that they use. Ask for a referral, find out who's out there, and then just make the phone call. Set aside the fear. The worst that happens is, you don't like that person, and then you can find another person. Take the steps and move forward. Take the action. Do it.
You lead to 2 quick things that I think we should mention. You said referral, and then 2, broker check is something that we can use to find an advisor, and I'll link it in the show notes. Broker check is provided by FINRA. You can look up anyone that says they're a financial advisor, and you can do some background research on them to make sure they are who they say they are. But I want to go to referrals real quick. Wanda, you said, someone could give you a referral, but if you're a current client, what about giving referrals?
Yeah, that's an important thing. If you believe your financial advisor helps you with navigating the financial world, then you should refer them. As you know, financial advisors are not allowed to pay people for referrals, which is an interesting concept. We cannot pay people for referrals. If you think your financial advisor does a good job, then you want to refer them to your friends, because the way I look at it is all my friends should have me as a financial advisor, because when I retire, I'm going to be staying at, the Four Seasons, and I don't want them to be staying at the Super 8. I want them to be having the life that they want, doing the thing that they want. And so if I have a good financial advisor, I would say, go ahead and tell your friends about it so that they can get in and see them, so that they can have and experience the same joys that you have in your life.
Well, thank you so much for listening to today's podcast on detachment and all this noise going on. We hope you find it helpful. If you'd like to talk to Wanda more about detachment and what to do in the market, you can find us at financesforreallife.com. And you can also follow us on this podcast on Apple Music, Spotify, and YouTube. And we post every 2 weeks, so we look forward to hearing you in the next episode. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advice offered through Finances for Real Life, a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial. The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision.